Hi guys, Pete the Wargamer here. Now, a few weeks ago, you may remember that I ran a competition for developing a homebrew regiment of the Imperial Guard or Astra Militarum, either Loyalist or Traitor. Now, this video is the announcement for the Loyalist winner of that competition, and those are the Hussar Lightning Raiders by Callum Ewing. So, a little bit of background before we go into the actual miniature itself. Now, the Hussar Lightning Raiders were formed from a group of exiles, and these guys kind of banded together under when their planet that they lived on came under attack by Tau forces. Now, the hive city that they were kind of based around was Hussar, which is obviously where they get their names from. Now, these guys are kind of like used to the life of banditry and lightning raids to kind of get the equipment that they need to kind of exist outside of the cities where they've been exiled from. And so they kind of turned these tactics, these training, this experience against the Tau forces. Now, this regiment gives me a good chance to tap in to that Renaissance Knight aesthetic, which is also a perfect opportunity to revive the long-lost Rough Riders. So, now that we have a little bit of background about that regiment, I'm going to be explaining more as I go through the conversion. Let's take a look at the finished miniature. And here we have a Hussar Lightning Raider mounted on horseback, complete with the colours suggested by Callum in his submission. But let's not get ahead of ourselves too much and go back to how I built this guy. So, to create a mounted guardsman, I needed a kit that was at the same scale as Warhammer, and one that was preferably multi-part and plastic to make the assembly much easier. Thankfully, I found my solution in the Fireforge Games Forgotten Worlds range, which provides us with this Northmen Cavalry kit. On its own, it's actually a really nice plastic kit that appears to be inspired by the Stark soldiers from the Game of Thrones TV series, and it fits really nicely alongside Warhammer in regards to its scale and its styling. So from this kit, I grabbed myself the parts required to build the horse as well as the legs of the rider. I then assembled these together, but kept the legs separated from the horse, as this would make adding the torso to it much easier. So we have our horse and our legs, but we need a suitable torso. As the aesthetic is a futuristic version of Renaissance stylings, the Baroque detailing of the Militarum Tempestus Science armour is perfect for us. The torso also has the appearance of a cuirass, which helps to add to our theme. So grab yourself the two halves that make up the torso from your science kit, but before you glue them together, we want to remove some of the extra shoulder details like the aerial and the optics. These should be easy enough to clip away, and all you need to do then is to shave them down a little. Once everything's been cleaned up, you can then glue your torso pieces together. With the torso constructed, we need to add it to the legs. However, because the torso is expecting standing legs rather than bent legs, we need to very carefully bend out the thigh plates that hang from the torso. This is quite simple to do as we already have a seam in which to bend around, but just be very careful here. Once you're happy that the plates won't be getting in the way, you can try out the fit. You may find that the front of the belt on the legs protrudes just a little too much, so just shave this down a little with a file or a knife. Make small adjustments here and periodically check the fit to make sure you're not removing too much. Then, once you're happy that the torso fits well, you can glue the two parts together. The arms are pretty straightforward and are simply taken from the Science kit. Due to the kit coming with a huge array of weaponry, you shouldn't find it difficult to choose some suitable arms here. I've personally chosen a saber and a bolt pistol to keep that oldie worldy styling intact. For the heads, we have a number of options. The sallet-styled helmets of the Skitarii Vanguard are particularly thematic and are quite easy to get a hold of. Alternatively, if you want to avoid the technical side of things, you could instead opt for the Empire Greatswords heads, like I've done with this. Or you could check out Anvil Industries' medieval heads. Most of these work well enough in the torso and shouldn't require any extra clipping or adjusting in order to make them fit. All we need to do for the rider now is to add some equipment pouches. These not only allow us to add detail to the model, but can also be used to cover up any gaps you may have from gluing the torso and the legs together. The patches you have here are basically whatever you have to hand, but the Militarum Tempestus kit is a good source. The final step is to reference the fact that these guys were formed to repel a Tau invasion, and this can be achieved by taking a Tau helmet. But to give the helmet the impression that it's been taken from a fallen enemy, you'll want to drill a few holes and add a few cuts into it before gluing it to the rear of the horse's saddle. So, by now you have built your Hussar Lightning Raider, and all that's left to do is to base and paint it. And here we have the fully painted Hussar Lightning Raider, based and painted in the style suggested by Callum. Now this conversion was more of a one-off concept piece, so might not be completely feasible for a full army, but if you like the idea of this regiment, then hopefully this video contained a few ideas that you could use in your own conversions. So a huge thank you to Callum for submitting your regiment, and this miniature will be on its way to you very soon, and also a huge thank you to everyone else who submitted entries to this competition. The creativity on show was absolutely fantastic, and I will be doing another follow-up video of the regiments who piqued my interest. If you're looking to recreate this conversion, then check out Fireforge Games for up to 15% off the RRP of Warhammer and Fireforge products that I used in this video. And by using my affiliates link, which is in the description, any products you buy will send a little bit of money my way, which I can put directly into producing more of these kind of guides. And finally, let me say a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support me on Patreon. Your continued patronage really does help me with the costs of producing these videos. If you'd like to lend me a hand, I've included my Patreon page in the description below, where you can donate to me from as little as $1 a month. So the only thing left to say is, thanks for watching, and goodbye.